Hey Alliance, my name is Marshalstreet, and today we are recording live from my studio. And I am celebrating 100 Alliance members. Thank you so much for that. As part of the 100 subscribers, what we are doing is every single video anyone's ever asked me to make, I'm making it. So, this one is from my boy King, one of my best friends who actually has something to do with this story. This story is, what was it like to go from homeschooling to normal school? Now, I used to go. Excuse me. And make sure, if you haven't already, make sure to be in a nice blanket, get some popcorn, get some drinks. I'm in my Doctor Who TARDIS blanket. You can see just nerd all around. Make sure to cuddle up and enjoy this story. Now, I used to go to a school called Calvary Christian Academy. Oh my gosh, who knows? I used to go to a school called Calvary Christian Academy. I went to a Christian school because I am a Christian. And of course, it was just a minute down the road. So I wouldn't have to worry about being late or anything like that. So I went there from pre-K to 3rd grade. Pre-K and kindergarten were very, very nice, lovely years of my young life. I had a best friend named Justin, who I'm still friends with today. And we would always cause trouble, always cause havoc in the classroom. We would stand up on tables and drive the teacher crazy. Miss Orama, that was her name. Miss Orama, I love you, Miss Orama. Fantastic teacher. We would stand up on tables. And one day, the teacher told my guardian and his mom that we would cause so much trouble throughout the class, and they would say, no, not our angels. That's the entire story. No, I'm just kidding. So, remember in pre-K kindergarten where they'd have you sit down on cots and you'd fall asleep and take nap time? I wish we had nap time in college and in high school. What is that about? So, I actually was bullied a lot from 1st grade to 3rd grade, as silly as that might be. So I ended up leaving that school, and I became homeschooled. So from 4th grade to 9th grade, I was homeschooled. And that didn't get any better. I found out that my guardian and I do not like each other at all. So it was just constant fighting, constant yelling, constant screaming. And that's how it was throughout the entire years of homeschooling. Of course, I got to do many cool things that other people didn't get to do. But, unfortunately, there was all that fighting. And in 9th grade, I went to this place called Sunshine Learning Center. That's the name. I went to Sunshine Learning Center. And Sunshine Learning Center prepared me for school. It was like a school. It was like a homeschool school. If you're homeschooled, you might know what that is. So just think of a school for homeschoolers. That's what it was. And it was very nice. I met some very nice people there. Some who I'm still friends with today. Shout out Jake. And then I decided it was time for me to go back to school. Back to the same school which I left. So, I had a lot of friends going back into school. So it wasn't as hard for me as it was for other people. Because going to that school from pre-K to 3rd grade, I still had friends who still went there. So it was a very easy transition for me. I remember walking around, meeting all my new teachers, putting a smile on my face, and shaking them with a firm hand grip. And then, what teachers did I have? So I went in 10th grade. And what teachers did I have? I had Mrs. McGuire, my math teacher. I had Mindy, my science teacher. Miss Womble, who I love. I had Miss Alva, who I love. And many other teachers who I all love very dearly. That's just the type of school it was. We were very close with our teachers. I have the principal's phone number. And we text. And I hang out with teachers outside of school, as weird as that is. But back to the story. It was a different transition. I was late everywhere I went. And I had to learn not to be late going to school. But that wasn't something I was able to do. I was late the 3 years that I was there. I was late. Mostly every single day. I just couldn't shake the habit. So that was a weird transition. That was a hard transition. Going from, being late and never having a consequence to being late and having many consequences. Luckily for me, I was able to make friends very quickly and make friends with, rekindle relationships that I didn't have since I was in pre-K and 1st grade, 2nd grade, and 3rd grade. Justin wasn't going there, by the way. One thing you need to find is a group that you hang out with, your clique. I remember switching from many different cliques. And I would spend a couple weeks with one clique, a couple weeks with another, a couple weeks with another, until I found one clique where I hung out with them a lot, and I ate lunch with them every single day. That clique consisted of my boy Alex, my girl Juliet, and a couple of other people. And they really welcomed me, and they really opened, they had their arms open to me. So instead of being in the popular clique, instead of being in the sports clique, the jock clique, I decided to be in a clique where, it was people who I liked, who were real. And Alex, I was friends with since pre-K, so it was cool. But then, eventually after that, I found the video game club. And we played video games, Super Smash Bros. Melee, and lunch after school, on the weekends together. We're still great friends. We're all still best friends. It is fun. So the Super Smash Bros club that I was in for school definitely helped me a lot when going to school. I made that my permanent clique. But that was my main clique. I had a lot of cliques just because I didn't really fit into one spot. I hung out with the band kids. I hung out with all the tech geniuses who are going to be millionaires one day. Shouts to you guys. Every now and then I'd go and have lunch with my friends, who I had the clique with before. Alex's clique. I'd have lunch with teachers, different stuff like that. And, it was really nice that I could just be friends with so many different people and so many different groups. Of course, they would only, talk, good to me, to my face, and then talk crap afterwards. None of them really liked me, and I knew that. And I was okay with that. I'd much rather have people talk crap to talk to my face and be nice to me instead of having a bunch of enemies. And I didn't want to go out and make enemies. So we just had fake little conversations, which they thought I never knew were fake. But I did. I also am an actor. That's what I love doing. That's what I want to do in life, is acting. And I find that YouTube is a way that I can express that side. So, I went into the theater program. And I had... Well, if you're an actor, you've probably experienced this before. You're talking to someone new who you haven't met before, and then they say, "Hey, I'm in theater." And you're like, "What? I'm in theater too." And you guys instantly become best friends. Well, at this school, it wasn't like that. I had a very hard time fitting in, and I didn't. I had a hard time with my directors. I had a hard time with the kids who were there. They didn't like me. And me, I have a motto in life: haters go to hell. Haters go to hell. And that's just a motto for myself, to remind myself that you should never hate on anyone or never dislike anyone just because of the way they look, the way they act, anything about them. You don't have a right to dislike someone. So I wouldn't say I disliked them. But they disliked me, and I knew that. And I was in a play, and, they wouldn't, even give me the time of day till like 2 weeks until we actually started, performing on stage in front of an audience. Wouldn't even talk to me. And eventually they did. But then afterwards it was like nothing. We weren't friends. It was just like it was before, being ignored in the hallways, stuff like that. So I guess what I'm trying to say is Calvary really wasn't the best fit for me. I was bullied from pre-K to 3rd grade. Not pre-K to 3rd grade, from 1st grade to 3rd grade. And then I was bullied from 10th grade to 12th grade. So, I always kept my head above the water, though. That was the thing. I never let any of those people get to me. I had every single excuse to walk around crying every day. Nobody likes me. They're just lying to my face. When I first started going to that school, my boy Jake, he had a girlfriend. And I was like, yo, bro, you have a girlfriend? Have her hook me up with some of her friends. And she tried. And apparently these girls knew about me. And I had no idea who they were. Just because gossip traveled around the school. And so people knew about me. And I didn't even know them. And they knew they disliked me. And they knew that they didn't like me. Just from what other people said. That I was weird. That I was different. But I don't let that bother me, though. So, my experience at Calvary wasn't the best. But as long as I made it the best, it was the best school for me. Now, of course, it wasn't all bad. I made friends with a lot of teachers. The teachers were really nice. And I had my core group of friends who weren't really my core group of friends. They weren't really we were friends, but they disliked me. They didn't show it, and they would talk crap behind my back. But that was the Smash Club, by the way. And eventually we were able to get everything settled, but that was like a year and a half into knowing each other. So, but now we're all best friends and we're fine, and we don't have a problem with each other now. They thought I was a liar because I had many cool stories when I didn't lie about anything. But that's on them. That's not on me. Now, all in all, it was a good school. I enjoyed it. But it was only good because I made it good. So the transition to homeschooling to school was easy just because I made it easy and I forced myself. Yes, I was living in a fantasy world. I made it the best possible world I could. And of course, every now and then, life would sneak up on me and remember, and it would tell me, hey, your life is crap, remember that. And I'd be sad for a couple of days, but then afterwards, I'd go back into my fantasy world. So, it wasn't an easy transition, but it was at the same time. I think that's all I have to share on this story of being homeschooled and then going to school. Shouts to King for asking me to do this video. And as always, make sure to punch that like button, hit that subscribe, leave a comment. Are there any stories that you'd like me to tell? I have many interesting, fun stories. Just ask me to tell a story. And this is part of my 100 subscriber bash, 100 Alliance member bash. I can't believe we're finally here.